World War II. What comes to mind? The Normandy landings, tank wedges, skies blackened by planes. A technological war of machines. But there are places where technology is powerless. Where time turns back. Where the 20th century rolls back to the trenches of World War I. A place where American boys, raised in a land of skyscrapers, had to fight the ghosts of medieval knights. Welcome to the Hürtgen Forest. September 1944. The Allies are already celebrating victory. It seems the Reich is about to collapse. But behind this euphoria, it's worth looking at the map. Beyond the Rhine lies the industrial heart of Germany. To get there, you need to pass through the gateway to Germany, the city of Aachen. And over Aachen looms a monster. The Hürtgen Forest. 130 square kilometers of darkness. The spruce trees grow so densely that even at midday there is twilight. Ravines, gorges, barbed wire brambles. And the American generals decide, let's send a couple of divisions, comb the forest, secure the flanks. Sounds like a routine purge. This became the most fatal underestimation of the enemy in the history of the U.S. Army. Why? Because the forest doesn't like motors. The Sherman tanks simply got stuck in the mud up to their turrets. They couldn't raise their barrels to fire at the hilltops. Aircraft? Are you kidding? The pilots simply couldn't see the ground under the continuous canopy of trees. American tactics were built on firepower and communications. Hurtgen had neither. The radio didn't work because of the dense forest. And the Germans? The Germans turned this forest into one big trap. These weren't just Wehrmacht soldiers. These were rangers, for whom the forest was home. And the main ghost of Hurtgen, Lieutenant Colonel. Commander of the 22nd Regiment. His name was Colonel Heinz. He knew every path. He ordered church bells removed and wires strung between trees at neck level. Jeeps and motorcyclists crashed into them at speed. He mined the roadsides, not the roadsides. Because he knew the Americans would stumble into ditches under fire. But most importantly, he created a mobile defense. No solid trenches. Small groups of snipers and machine gunners fired for 15 minutes, then disappeared into the fog. The Americans charged into nothingness, bayonet wielding. By November 16, the 28th U.S. Division, nicknamed the Bloody Bucket, ceased to exist as a fighting unit. Some companies lost 80% of their personnel. But the order was, forward. Imagine you're Private Joe. You're out of rations on the third day. The water in your canteens freezes at night and turns into swampy muck during the day. You haven't seen the sun for weeks. All you see are gray tree trunks and wet snow. You don't hear gunfire, but the ringing sound of bullets ricocheting off the barrels, and you can't tell where they're coming from. A mine explodes next to you. But it doesn't just kill. The Germans use tree feelers. The mine explodes a meter above the ground, peppering the tree trunks with splinters and shrapnel. The forest turns into a giant meat grater. Psychosis? Constantly. Soldiers fired at trees because they thought they were moving. Platoon commanders went crazy from the feeling of isolation. The climax of the hell came in December. The 121st Regiment received orders to capture Hill 400, a bare hill that the Germans pounded from all sides. They attacked through the Meadow of Blood, as it was later called. The Germans mowed down the first wave in 10 minutes. The Americans dug in, amid the corpses of their own comrades. There was no other cover. The bodies froze and were used as breastworks. In 3 weeks of fighting for this hill, the US lost more men than in 6 months in Normandy. Think about that number. And when they finally took it, the command said, "Okay, guys, now pull back. We'll bomb this forest from the air to help you." And the thunderbolts struck their own. The Battle of Hürtgen Forest officially lasted 3 months. But its echoes linger. Searchers still find soldiers' remains in that thicket. The trees still hold shrapnel. It's still dangerous to stray from the trail in that area, you could step on a mine. US casualties, 33,000. German, 28,000. A square meter of forest cost 2 lives. And for what? So that a month later the Germans would withdraw on their own, because the Ardennes offensive had begun. The forest proved unnecessary. It was a battle for the sake of a battle. A massacre by mistake. Vietnam. It didn't start in the jungle. It started here, in the spruce gloom of Germany, where the American army first encountered an enemy that couldn't be killed with napalm. 33,000, think about that number again. It's not just statistics. Those are 33,000 lives that dissolved into the mud between the roots. Do you know what the most terrible thing was found in the pockets of those killed in Hurtgen? Not bullets. Not letters from their mothers. But Catholic rosaries and toy soldiers, which they were taking to their sons in the States. They were bringing peace to their children, and they met their death in a forest where even the birds don't sing. Today, the Hürtgen Forest is a tourist area. There are bike trails there. Germans and Dutch people go out on weekends to grill sausages. But if you leave the paved path and enter the thicket, the silence there is different. It's thick. It clings to your skin. The forest remembers. The forest still pushes rusty helmets and spent cartridges out of the ground. The forest has not forgiven.